In this first part, I'll be setting up some basic mechanics for the survivors and the killers, represented by Laurie Strode and Michael Myers. I'll also be setting up some of the items like the totems, the generator, and the flashlights as well. We'll just be trying to duplicate the Dead by Daylight mechanics as best as we can. They don't have to be perfect, but just something to start them off with. So to make things easier for myself, I'm just downloading a lot of my animations from Mixamo, and I found this animation kneeling and inspecting after quite a bit of searching, and it kind of resembles like a repair generator animation. So this is just what I'll be using. That looks great. Sweet. Okay, so what I've done here is I've already uploaded Laurie Strode and I've put in all the textures already. And one of the first things I wanted to do was have a way to set the speed of the character. And the way I have to control that is the mouse wheel. What I mean here is if we jump in, our character is going to start off walking really slow, and if I scroll the mouse wheel up, eventually it'll reach the max speed, which this is just a temporary example of a max Dead by Daylight speed. And if I scroll the mouse wheel down, it'll decrease the speed to a slow kind of creep, you know what I mean? So you can do it really slow, back and forth. This is just a really basic starting mechanic. And everything I'm going to do here to Laurie Strode is going to carry over to every other survivor, all the variables and mechanics I'm going to make. That way I don't have to restart from scratch with every survivor. You know, just make a base and just copy it. I'll show you what I mean if you don't quite understand. And I'll do the same with Michael Myers. He'll just be like the base killer. I can just copy all his stuff from there. So for now, this is just a basic start, getting them to walk and kind of replicating Dead by Daylight movement speed. For Michael Myers, after he does a hit animation, a lot of characters will like wipe their weapon, like wipe the blood off, or some kind of animation like that. What I found for Michael Myers is just kind of like wiping the blood on his pants, and he's like, ah, look at this kind of thing. So hopefully we can get that working, and that will look a little better when it's all flowing together. The first thing I've done for Michael Myers, which is going to be for most killers, it can be different for each story mode, but this is just an example. So basically, as soon as he sees Laurie, he's going to move to her, and on success he's going to play the standing wheelie animation, okay? And then he's going to play that like blood wipe animation that I showed you earlier. And after that, he's going to go right back to walking. So it's kind of really basic, but it actually works really well. I know it's not the most proper way to do things, is what most, if you're a veteran to Unreal Engine, but let me show you what this means. He's going to move to me, and if he hits me, he's going to hit me, he's going to play that blood wipe animation, and he's going to go right back to walking. That's really similar what they do in the game. Like I said, each killer is gonna have a different animation. I can just go and when I duplicate Michael Myers, I can just all I have to do is just change the animations. It's really basic stuff. So this is working good just for him though. This looks great. This is perfect. And I'll set up a little health system for the main character and they'll start walking injured and stuff. Hopefully we'll get this working. But for now, this is what I got. So right away I was having a little issue where every time he stabs me there's like this little overlay. It kind of goes over the screen and it's a little disruptive, isn't it? So what I did, and this probably can be used later anyways, is I've gone and just put a little sphere collision over here. That way he can still get close without it just interfering with anything. See what I mean?
What the fuck, Mikey? No way.
He can still slice me and do all the same animations. It just prevents him from overlapping the camera or whatever that was doing. So you've seen that the killer, or Michael Myers, will basically chase the survivor and hit them over repeatedly. And they'll just keep doing that over and over again. And so I've gone and set up the health system for the survivors now where they can lose health states. They'll start off healthy, lose 100 health, go into the injured state. And what the logic behind that is you're just basically switching animation blueprints. Which is something I've done once before, but never multiple times like this, so it was really cool to see all this work out. Every time the survivor gets hit, they'll lose a health state. And let me show you what that looks like really quick. So she'll be able to run around nice and normal, or walk very silently without making noises. And we'll get hit here. And we'll play some injured animations if you're running, or if you want to walk and be a little quieter. Even if you're just standing still, they'll show physical signs that they've been hurt or exhaustion, kind of. And the last one, of course, is the down state. He'll let me one more time here, and you can just kind of crawl away at a slow rate, or if you stand still, it's just kind of laying there. At this point, they'd come in and do a Mori animation right here once I'm down and pick me up on the hook. I haven't done any of that, but all this stuff here is just a visual representation of kind of what it's like in Dead by Daylight to lose a health state. It's not perfect, but it flows pretty well for now. I'll put in some animation, blood splats, and some sound effects to make it look really good, and it'll flow a lot better then. But for now, I think this is pretty good. So this is kind of interesting. I've been messing with the flashlight a little bit. Let me show you what I got here. Basically, when she walks over, it's going to attach to her right thumb, and I've manually had to go in and kind of place it so it looks pretty good. Let me go in here for a second into the BP flashlight. I've actually just went in here and manually fucked around with it, and so it just looks plausible when she's running around. It's not very perfect, but I think that's pretty cool. And so how I've set up the flashlight animation so far is, let's go into Lori here for a second, is with the F key. Basically, when I press the F key, she'll play an animation, which isn't a proper flashlight aiming kind of animation, but it's just kind of my ghetto thing that I've set up. But when I press F, she's going to play the animation, and it's going to set the rotation of the flashlight. Right now, I don't have it actually set perfectly, but I'll do it in a second. And when it's released, when F is released, it's just going to basically go back to our normal blueprint animation and set our flashlight back to the default pose, basically. So here, let me show you. It'll aim, it's not perfect, and when we release it, it just goes back to the default everything. Our blueprint and our position for the flashlight. So no matter where we're facing, it's just going to always go back to, when we release F, it's just going to go back to default everything, back to the normal positions. Once I set the flashlight, it's actually aimed at the killer. It'll look a little more proper, but this is what I got right now, and her hand isn't going to aim directly at him. The flashlight definitely will, but it's just kind of what I set up for now, and the whole mechanic isn't going to be perfect, but it'll work, and it'll look pretty good, so. Okay, so I've done some work with the flashlight, and You can see already that there's a little spotlight. That'll disappear in the game, but you can see that I put a spotlight on there, and some of the logic behind what I have going on is when I have the flashlight equipped and I press F, the spotlight will be visible, and it's also going to zoom in our field of view a little bit, kind of like a cinematic effect. So let's take a look at that, where when we equip the flashlight and we press F, and the spotlight will be visible, and the cinematic view will zoom in a little bit, just like that. I'll show you away from Michael here for a second. In a nice darker area. It'll zoom in, the flashlight will be visible, and when we release it, everything goes back to normal. When we release F, the spotlight isn't visible, and our field of view resets back to default. We can release it, and we can go back and forth. So what happens when we hit the killer here? So for the spotlight in Dead by Daylight, the light dissipates when you actually get a good proper flashlight on the killer. It'll actually dissipate kind of like this for a second and play a sound effect. You might not be able to hear a sound effect I plugged in, but essentially that's the inner cone of the flashlight will dissipate down to 0 and then go back to default. And I'll kind of stun him for a second. Right now he doesn't do anything when he's stunned. It's just a basic idea of what the flashlight does in Dead by Daylight and trying to represent that here. We'll play it with the sound effect here just so you can get an idea of what it kind of sounds like. That's pretty good representation there. I don't know why I care so much about the generator animations, but I can't figure out an easy way to do it in Blender. And I also can't find an easy way to do it with the sockets and stuff in Unreal Engine. So I'm just gonna delete all these little pistons, and I'm just gonna create one blueprint of a piston going up and down, cycling, and I'm just gonna copy that 6 times, and we're gonna just... Alright, so I want to make the pistons. I don't want to waste this least amount of time as possible here, and I don't want to mess around in the Unreal Engine with timelines or trying to figure out how to mess around with the gears, so I just thought for a minute this would be the fastest way. So I'm just creating a simple a primitive. I'm just going to create a cylinder. I'm going to take it just like that. It doesn't matter how it's shaped. I can reshape it in Unreal Engine. And what I'm going to do, since it's an object, is we'll go to object rigging, create this, we'll make it a figure. That's just going to help later on not fuck shit up. We'll go to animate light here, and we'll just do 3 seconds, just like I did the other one. And that'll just be the second animation. This is really all I need to do. So you can just take this. Already just uploaded my first gear just to test it out. I've gone and let's go in the generator here, in the BP. I've gone and just placed it really nicely over where one of the other pistons would be. And I'm gonna just press play and we're gonna go check it out. And it just gives the illusion that it's going up and down. We'll have we can set the speeds and stuff like that, especially since we'll have 2 different gears, one for fast animations and one for slow animations. And as the progression of the generations goes along, we can just make all those in synchronicity. Maybe I'm spending a little too much time thinking about this, but it seems pretty basic. It doesn't seem too hard. Just gotta plug in everything nice and perfect for just to get it to work. But that's just the concept behind getting the generator to kind of come to life. Otherwise I couldn't really do it through Blender and other